अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। ओम नमो भगवते श्री रामकृष्णाय। Readings from and reflections on the life of Holy Mother. We read from the book called Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, written by Swami Gambhirananda. Page 104. The chapter is called Silent Preparation. We have given many illustrations to show how courageously the mother freed herself from conventions and prejudices when duty or occasion demanded it. Such changes often resulted from the advice of the master, but quite as often the mother spontaneously made the necessary adjustments, for the single aim of her life was to please the master. But these remarks relate only to matters of daily routine. In regard to the higher life, the two souls were so similarly attuned that even independent of each other, they produced but the same charming strains. In that field, the mother had no effort to make and the master had no direction to give. This side of their lives has also been partially depicted. Now we shall relate some incidents not discussed earlier. A great Vaishnava festival called the Danda Mahotsav is held at Panihati on the eastern bank of the Ganges, a few miles above Calcutta, every year in the month of Jyeshta, that is May-June. The festival for the year 1885 was near at hand. The master had taken part in it several times before he had any English-educated devotees at Dakshineswar. But latterly, he had not gone there. In 1885, the master told a group of his devotees, "The festival will be a mart of divine joy, and you will find the Lord's name bandied about freely. You, young Bengal, have never witnessed such a thing. Let us all go along and see this." Accordingly, 25 devotees reached Dakshineswar in two hired boats at about 9 o'clock on the morning of the festive day. A third boat lay anchored in the stream for the master. Some women devotees reached earlier in the morning for preparing food, and all got ready to start at 10. After the master had finished his meal, the mother inquired through a woman devotee whether she too might join the party. The master told the devotee, "If she wants to, she may." Hearing the master's words, the Holy Mother said to the devotee, "Quite a number of persons are going with him. Besides, the place will be filled with people. It will be difficult for me in that great crowd to get down from the boat and see the festival. So I won't go." The women devotees took leave of her and got into the master's boat and left for Panihati. When the master's boat returned from the festival at 8:30 p.m., the women devotees decided to spend the night with the mother. And then coming to learn that on the ensuing full moon day, there would be elaborate worship and much merriment in commemoration of the consecration of the Kali temple, they decided to stay on till then. When the master sat down for his supper that night, he said to one of the women, "It was so crowded. Moreover, all had their eyes riveted on me because of my divine inebriation. She did well not to come with us. If people had seen her by my side, they would have said, 'A pair of swans have come.'" The allegory is Hansa Hamsi in Bengali. Hansa means both swan and soul. The word Paramahamsa means a great soul and is applied to the world renouncing monks like Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. Hence, Hamsa Hamsi means, by a pun, Ramakrishna and his wife. She is very intelligent. When the women reported this to the mother, she said, "From the way he gave me leave to go in your party in the morning, I knew that it was not a hearty permission. If he had wanted me to go, he would have said, 'Yes, surely she can come too.' When without doing so, he left the decision to me with the remark, 'If she wants to, she may go.' I decided that I had better give up the idea." The master that night told the women of another instance of her intelligence. When the Marwadi devotee, Lakshmi Narayana, proposed to give me 10,000 rupees, I felt as though my head was under a saw. I said to Mother Kali, Mother, dost thou come to tempt me again after so long a time?" At that time, I called her, that is Holy Mother, to test her mind and said, "Listen, my dear, this man proposes to give me money. As I have refused the offer, he proposes to give it to you. Why don't you accept this?" At this, she replied instantaneously, "How can that be? The monies can't be accepted. If I receive it, it will be as good as you are receiving it. For if I take it, I shall spend it on you, and hence it will amount to your own acceptance. People respect you for your renunciation. Therefore, the money can never be accepted." At these words of hers, I felt intensely relieved. It was not only in worldly affairs that these two hearts beat in unison. In spiritual matters too, the mother kept in step with the master. During the Shodashi worship, we had a visual demonstration of the essential identity of their outlook. In the Nahavat and in the Shampukur house, we were struck with wonder by a glimpse of the mother's self-effacement in the service of her husband, exhibiting spiritual discipline of the highest order. Not content with all this, the mother converted her whole life into a series of austerity in the same way as the master did. Now, any intense religious pursuit is supernormal, and especially so was it in the case of the mother. Hence, if we study this phase of her life from a mere normal point of view, the reader may well ask, "What are you about?" At the end of the Shodashi worship, the mother had received as a free gift from the master all the fruits of his own long spiritual discipline. Her disposition was naturally so sweet and charming that even if she had had no background of austerity, she could not have failed to impress others. And her physical suffering and strenuous life were in themselves a telling example of great spiritual striving. Is not a life that comprises all these, at their best, already established in the highest state that a human being can aspire to? Is it not then unreasonable to say that spiritual progress is dependent on a formal course of discipline as prescribed by the scriptures? What indeed are you aiming at? But we reply, let us not lose our patience. As impartial biographers, we shall state all the facts in the life of this unique character. It is not our function to judge their worth or interpret their purpose. The readers, both of the present and of future generations, may attempt the task. But we feel sure that no effort of a divine woman like the mother is wholly without meaning. Such an effort flows from a fullness of heart rather than from social need or impulsion. Because of this, each of her acts has a natural splendor and a novelty, which, though not obvious to modern minds, make them worthy of being recorded. Unfortunately, Most of the incidents of her silent discipline have fallen into oblivion or are only imperfectly known. For instance, the mother undertook a vow, perhaps on the 20th May 1883, called the Savitri Vrata, which is mentioned in the notes of Swami Saradananda and the memoirs of Master Mahasaya, but of which we know nothing apart from these casual references. Yet such hints are invaluable in reconstructing our picture of that unknown side of the mother's life. A living touch with spirituality comes through association with those who actually tread the path. The mother lived virtually in the center of a spiritual concourse at Dakshineswar, and the lessons she imbibed were many. Not to mention the hundreds of ardent and advanced devotees who gathered round the master. There was a constant stream of adepts and aspirants, both men and women, who stopped at Dakshineswar on their way to Gangasagar and Puri. About most of these we know next to nothing, and about the other well-known personalities who have been dealt with more fully in other books, we may keep silent. We have referred to the Bhairavi Brahmani, one chapter of whose life became closely linked with that of the mother. There is mention of another Bhairavi too. Bhairava is an aspect of Shiva. In dress and outer appearance, he is terrible, but he is also a protector of the supplicant. Bhairavas and Bhairavis are mendicants who follow his cult. We have referred to the Bhairavi Brahmani, one chapter of whose life became closely linked with that of the mother. There is mention of another Bhairavi too. One day the master said to the mother, "A Bhairavi will come today. Get a piece of cloth suitably dyed. We shall give it to her." That Bhairavi came that day after the worship at the Kali temple was over and entered into a long conversation with the master. She then stayed on at Dakshineswar for some days. She was somewhat hot-tempered. She not only took on herself the duty of protecting the mother, but also warned her, "Do thou keep ready for me some rice soaked in water overnight. If thou dost not, I shall leave thee dead here by piercing thee with my trident." The mother was terrified at this, but the master said, "Don't you be afraid. She is a real Bhairavi and hence her temper is a little high." On some days, the Bhairavi obtained so much by begging that it lasted her for a week or more. The chief officer of the temple said to her, "Mother, why should you go out for begging? You can get it all here." The Bhairavi replied, "You are my uncle Kalanemi. How can anyone depend on your words?" Kalanemi means maternal uncle of Ravana. When the mother and Lakshmi Devi lived together at the Nagar, the master on his way to the northern Jau grove in the small hours of the night would wake them up saying, "Get up, O Lakshmi, get up. Awaken your aunt. How much longer will you sleep? It's nearly morning now. Wash your face with Ganges water and call on the Mother Kali. Begin your japa and meditation." If the mother and Lakshmi Devi were already awake, they would leave their beds at once. But in winter, even though the master called, the Holy Mother, with a view perhaps to ensuring a longer period of sleep for Lakshmi Devi, would say in an undertone, "Do you keep silent? His eyes are sleepless. It's not as yet time to get up. The birds aren't chirping as yet. Don't you respond?" If the master got no response or had no reason to think that they did not wake up, he would out of fun pour water over the door sill, and they jumped up for fear of the beds on the floor getting wet. Sometimes their beds did thus get actually wet. As a result of this, Lakshmi Devi became an early riser. The mother, of course, was always an early riser. One day, the master wanted to test the mother's capacity to appreciate his deep spiritual moods. That day, he asked mother to prepare betel rolls, tidy up his bed, and sweep the floor, and then he proceeded to the Kali temple to prostrate himself before the goddess. The Holy Mother had nearly finished her work when the master entered the room unnoticed, with red eyes, staggering gait, and fuddled speech like those of a man in a state of intoxication. The mother was so engrossed in her work that she did not notice him, even though he came within reach. Then he suddenly pushed her from behind and said, "Hello, my dear, have I drunk wine?" Though the mother was taken aback by this unexpected sight, she promptly replied, "No, no, why should you be under wine? Why do you then wobble?" argued the master. "Why am fuddled in speech? Am I tipsy?" In haste, the mother replied, "No, no, why should you have drunk wine? You have drunk of the nectar of Mother Kali's love." Highly delighted, the master said, "You have spoken rightly indeed." So it's a very beautiful description of Holy Mother. We saw last week how Mother established a supremacy, that if anybody calls me mother, that was the condition, she said. If anybody calls me mother, I cannot stop acceding to that person's request. That means I can go against the command of the master. All the things she was obeying to master, no problem. Everywhere she said, "Okay, I'll do what you say." In every aspect of life she was obeying. But only in this aspect she said, "No, nothing to him. Here I will never obey." Because she didn't obey actually, and master even. But then her determination not to obey this particular command made master rather happy. He was happy and he could understand the motherly feelings have blossomed in her, and she is going to be the real Holy Mother to millions of people in the future. So he understood that. Now this chapter, in the next chapter, Silent Preparation, shows the intimate relationship between mother and master, and how the relationship came out in different kinds of actions. So here the author Swami Gambhirananji has discussed one very important subject also here in this starting of the chapter. He says, master was very impressed of the intelligence of the master. Of course, every wedded husband would look for the intelligence of his wife. And you can test or you can see in some of the actions how they are intelligent enough. So you can see that women are really intelligent. You can't say just because they are women, they are not intelligent. That concept came during the Middle Ages in the Indian history, if you find. Originally, women were considered highly intelligent. Even they were equivalent to the rishis who used to argue about Brahman and Atman. Such things we find in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. You see, in the Upanishadic time, the rishi is arguing, another rishi is arguing with another rishi. And the women who are seated there, they also get up and argue. So Swamiji is very fond of such great women of India that we call them, Gargi, Maitreyi, and such women were there. Madhalasa, what a wonderful life of Madhalasa. From childhood onwards, she was so wonderful. She was a realized soul. She said, "I am that Atman." I have understood that, she said. So Vedahameti, like that, I know, like that she said. And her children, when the child was put into the cradle, and she used to, what do you call that? Swing that cradle, and she would say, and she would tell the child, it's a baby only, it doesn't know anything, but she would say, "You are the Atman, thou art the Atman, Tattvamasi." Like that she would give the teaching. So such great women were there. Afterwards, somewhat in the Middle Ages, we find that the women were considered as somewhat secondary, and then they were having less intelligence than men. And because they were kept in the household only, they were not allowed to go out also. Even in Shankaracharya's time, you see how Mandana Mistra's wife was such a great lady. She said, you argued with my husband and you defeated my husband, but that is only half you have defeated. Then Shankaracharya was stunned. What are you telling? I have half defeated him. I have already fully defeated him. No, you defeated him, but am I not as a wedded wife half of him? If you have defeated him, now come with an argument with me and defeat me also. If you defeat me, then only I would accept you have defeated him. So this such a wonderful, intelligent ladies were there. And that was there. And in Master's life you find how Holy Mother came in his life, who was intelligent. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Samstita. Buddhi, that intelligence, a marked, remarkable intelligence. She is there, the Durga is there, that intelligence. So when Durga herself comes into this earth in the form of Holy Mother, so all the intelligence are in her. So two instances here, our Swami Gambhiranji quotes here, very beautiful quotes. You see, there was a big festival in Panihati. It's a Vaishnava festival where people come and sit together and dance and sing the name of Hari. So Hari's name is taken. And when you take the name of Hari, people start get, impressed, and then their mind rises to a higher level. So they start not only singing, they start dancing also. And Sri Ramakrishna had gone many times there. From Dakshineswar itself he used to go, and people used to come and take him to that festival. He has gone many times. But for some years he didn't attend the festival at all. Anyway, invitation comes, people come and request him. He couldn't go because he was busy in other activities. So now the English educated disciples have come. So these English educated disciples are young fellows and they speak English, so Master is very happy. So these boys have come. So he wanted to take the whole group to the Panihati festival to show them, because they haven't seen such a festival. Some festivals come. When I was in Ranchi, we used to have Jagadadri Puja. So I used to tell the other Swamis who are coming to take part, to witness the puja. 3-day puja it is. And I would tell the Swamis, Maharaj, don't come alone. Please bring some devotees from your center. We will arrange for them everywhere to stay and food, etc. But let them also see. So our Morabadi ashram would send all the boys who are in the hostel, about 60 boys, all the boys would come to see that big festival. It is 20,000 people are coming, and it's a mela. It's called Jagadadri Mela. All the tribals will come, and on that day, the tribal population in and around that village, they all would come in their finest clothes. They are well decorated, and it's because it's a mela. And everywhere in Belur you find a mela day, Ramakrishna Mela day, the Sunday after his birthday. That is called Mela Day. And in that Mela you will find lots of vendors come. With small things they are selling. Like that we have a Mela. So plenty of people will come and sell their wares, whatever it is. And everything is available. And the women things, including the head pin, etc. Everything, hair pins, etc. you get. So people will reserve for that. Oh, the Mela is coming, on that day we will go and purchase. Like that, even simple things are available. And that type of Mela, Panihati is such a great, wonderful place it is, and Vaishnava festival. And this Mahotsav, the great festival, was there. So when the English educated boys, devotees and boys have come, he wanted to take them. Okay, how many boats are required? 3 boats were required. That means how many people would have gone. In one boat only ladies have come. Ladies have come so that they can prepare food, etc. and feed the master. So all of them are going there. So from morning onwards, the whole Dakshineswar has become very busy. Everybody is coming to master, making pranam to him, and master is getting ready. For him is water getting ready. Go and take a dip in the Ganges and put the dhoti, that's all. For him is ready. And everybody is coming, making pranam and talking to each other, and the boats are ready in the Ganges. So when such a mood is there, all are going for a festival, naturally seeing the ladies are also preparing themselves for going with the master in a boat. What a wonderful journey it would be. So everybody was so happy, and Holy Mother also was very happy. Think of Holy Mother, it was in 1880, which year?
83.
83 it was. So, and Holy Mother was a young woman. You can understand her inclination. Let me also go and enjoy this with the devotees. Quite nice. But she won't go. Just like that. What she said, she sent a word through one devotee that whether she can also join the party. Now, that's what he says. After the master had finished his meal, the mother inquired through a woman devotee. She never came to him directly. She fed him on the day, but she could have asked him. No, she didn't ask. Later, through a woman devotee, whether she too might join the party. Master told the devotee. What he said? If she wants to, she may. এটা বাংলাতে কি বলা হয়? যদি চায় যেতে পারে. Something like that. So, the mother was, immediately she understood the meaning of this. The modern woman would not be like that. They may come to him and they argue with him, that what is that you are, I may go, I shall go. Like that she would say. But in those days,
would you even ask?
yes. Why should you ask? And through another woman. So that was the time when Holy Mother did not do that. And she listened to the words, what this lady has said, what she conveyed to him. If she wants, she may go. Then she said, no. She decided not to go. But then the other ladies would not leave her. The same lady who came and talked to master about mother's going, she also wants to know why you will not go. She will also ask. So already the other ladies have come to know. Now everybody start coming, mother, why you are not coming? Master has said, you may go, come. So they were encouraging her. But mother said, no, I won't go. And she explains to them what she felt at that time. How she put it, so that master is not affected. She could have easily told, master doesn't want me to go. This is the meaning of these words. One can put a plainly said that. But that will put master in a bad condition. So to protect him, how she put it? She said, what she said? Quite a number of persons are going with him. Besides, the place will be filled with people. It will be difficult for me in that great crowd to get down from the boat and see the festival. So I won't go. Do you think this is a very good reason? Because other women are also going. They will also get down from the boat. So, and one woman, why she cannot get down? But nobody asked such questions to mother. And when mothers justified her not going with these reasons, they all accepted, yes. And for Holy Mother, and she is very of shy nature, so they all took it, she may be feeling shy to come in the crowd. So, and she doesn't come in the crowd, In that Chinese early morning, before 4 o'clock, she would go and finish her ablutions and finish her bath in the Ganges. After that, she would never come out. So nobody has seen her, Holy Mother. That type of secluded life she did. And how she can now go in the crowd, so people understood that. So they left it at that. But it was not so. Master could understand the intelligent reply of Holy Mother. And he said, when he went there in Panihati and Harinam Sankirtan was going on, he couldn't control himself. He started dancing. And suppose, he says in a very funny way, he makes a pun, if he was dancing and if she was there, if she was also dancing, you can imagine, Master and mother both are dancing. What people would have commented? People would have said, Hansa and Hansi are dancing. That's what he said. Hansa and Hansi is a pun he made. That both swans are now dancing because Paramahansa and Paramahansa Stri both are dancing. So that ridicule words, was avoided by Holy Mother by not going there. How wonderfully she took it. He says, if people had seen her by my side, they would have said, a pair of swans has come. She is very intelligent. And then, when the women reported this to the mother, what she said? She says, from the way he gave me leave to go in your party in the morning, I knew that it was not a hearty permission. Otherwise, she should have said, yes, let her come. He didn't say. If he had wanted me to go, he would have said, yes, surely she can come. So, when he left the decision to me with the remark, if she wants to, she may also go, I decided that I had better give up that idea. It's very, very intelligently she has done, and it also teaches us how men folk have to deal with their spouses. It's a very important thing we learn from this life. You know, when in Mayarbadi, that is in Udbodhan, where mother used to stay on the top, on the front, on the first floor, in that room, she used to hear, opposite, you know, there is a shack is there, or the basti is there, and one fellow used to beat his wife terribly. Every night this used to happen, and the lady used to always cry, and it happens, and they come out also, and he still beats her. So one day mother could not stand there, and she came to the balcony. From the balcony you can see that fellow is beating her. So he shouted her at that fellow, what are you going to, are you going to kill her? Like that she shouted. And that man looked up and said, Holy Mother has come. Oh, Ma has come, and Ma is ridiculing, chiding me. So immediately he quietly entered the house and he kept quiet. So there was a sevika next to mother, and she saw mother was very moved, and mother kept, you know, that tears started dribbling from her eyes. And the sevika asked mother that his husband is beating the wife like this. What is this? How was your husband? She suddenly asked. Then mother, the beautiful reply is there, no? He did not even throw a flower on my body. What a wonderful thing. A flower throwing is nothing. You can take a flower and throw on anybody, and that's not going to hurt you. But even that sentiment, you see, a flower is also not thrown at me. And what do you are asking about beating, etc.? That cannot be even thought of. Because being a husband, he has got every right to talk to her, ridicule her, or to tell harsh words, everything, etc. he may say according to circumstances. But beating, that cannot be done. But that's why he says how intelligent she was. She expressed that her husband was like that. So this shows how men have to deal with their women in that way. In that case, there is a wonderful peace in the family. Now in the modern time, when we do the counseling, you know, for that type of despaired couple, then we always find out the reason. And the reason is somewhere the one hurting each other, or, you know, one hurting the other, or the other hurting this. So this hurting, how it comes? In simple talks only. In mere words only we hurt. And we may not hurt physically, particularly in high, characterized societies. The physical hurting may not be there. But then they may take vengeance by the words. The words are powerful. And you don't need somebody to beat you. One word is enough to hurt you. Because we are very sensitive to the words. Nowadays the present generation is sensitive to the words. So words have to be properly used. That is also we learn from this idea. And then another instance of your intelligence, he says, this is a wonderful thing. Why Swamiji called Sri Ramakrishna in the Arati Stava as a Tyagishwara. Tyagishwara, you see, it's a wonderful word. Is that he is the Lord of all the Tyagis. Tyagi means one who has renounced. So one Marwadi devotee comes. He always used to come to Sri Ramakrishna, and he got a lot of consolation and peace of mind. His name was Lakshmi Narayana. He offered to Sri Ramakrishna 10,000 rupees. Master's salary was only 5 rupees in the Dakshina temple. And in those days, think of 10,000 rupees. What a value it would have been. And that gentleman has told him, said, I want to give you 10,000 rupees. Then Master says, I felt as though my head was struck by a saw. Saw machine, that cuts the wood. That saw machine, it has struck my head. Like that I felt. I cannot accept that. So I said to Mother Kali, "Oh Ma Kali, what has happened? Why are you tempting me like this?" He did not say anything to him. No harsh words to the devotee. But then he went to Divine Mother and said, "Oh Ma, why are you tempting me like this? Suppose I accept that. That means I have fallen for the temptation. So why are you tempting me?" Then I got an idea. I called Holy Mother. "Look, the Lakshmi Narayan wants to give 10,000 rupees and I cannot accept. So I will have to refuse the offer. So now if I refuse, he will propose it to give it to you. Why don't you accept?" An intelligent woman, how she has put it. She's instantaneously, she didn't even think about it. She said, what she said, "How can that be? If I accept, is it not equal to your acceptance? Even if that is not there, suppose, even if we are all separate and my acceptance is not your acceptance, am I not going to spend that money on you only? That means you accept it, which you don't want. So how can I accept that? No, I will not accept." And then she adds, "People respect you for your renunciation. Therefore, the money can never be accepted." And Sri Ramakrishna comments there, "At these words of hers, I felt intensely happy." This was like a test. How he tested her at different phases of the life. And actually it's a matter of test for Holy Mother. Sri Ramakrishna may say in simple words and as if nothing has happened. But then that is a part of testing her and to verify that yes, she is up to the mark. And she is up to the mark means only, and when he says to her that you see, I will leave this body and after that you have to take care of the Calcutta people. Don't you see? The Calcutta people are like worms. They are all in the kada, what do you call that?
Dirt.
Dirt. In the dirt, they are all there and they have to be redeemed. They have to be given redemption. Who is going to save them? So you have to do my work. Like that he is giving this. He is entrusting the work to her. So that means how much he has tested her and seen, yes, she is the real mother. That's what he says. Now, he says, in the worldly affairs, the author now says, the worldly affairs, these two hearts beat in unison. Then, in spiritual matters also, the mother kept in step with the master. That is what he is now going to say. He talks about the Shodashi Puja is one of the wonderful event in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Shodashi Puja in Dakshineswar. Mother Kali is worshipped in different forms, So there is what you call Dasha Mahavidya of the Divine Mother worship. In the Divine Mother worship, the 10 Mahavidyas, they are called Mahavidyas. That's a great Vidyas. So each Vidya to practice in one's life. Some saints would take up only one Vidya. And to practice one Vidya itself, one life would have gone. So 10 Mahavidyas are there. In that one Mahavidya is Shodashi. That is Divine Mother conceived in our mind as a 16-year-old girl. So Shodashi. Shodasha means 16. So one who has got 16 years of age, she is called Shodashi. So the Shodashi Puja he did. And it is said that Swami Saradananji says, in the life of any other great saints of the world, this particular incident has not happened. This is the first incident that has happened, that a wedded husband worshipping as a Divine Mother for the first time in the history, in the annals of these biographies of saints. We got a lot of saints. Yes, many saints were there, but they had wives also. They led a natural grahastha life. But we don't find this example, that taking the wife to the height of the Divine Mother, that is something unheard of in the history, he says. And that has done. So in the Shodashi Puja, at that time it was done. So he says, in the Nahabat and in the Shyampukur house, the author says, we were struck with wonder by a glimpse of the mother's self-effacement in the service of her husband. That means she was in a high spiritual discipline at that time, of the highest order, he says, but also she surrendered herself to the service of the master. That means she never cared for her own comforts. So it's called self-effacement. Completely egoless she became. Not content with all this, the mother converted whole life into a series of austerity. Sri Ramakrishna, before mother came into his life, he has performed hundreds and thousands of austerities. Many austerities he did. And that's why his body also broke down, the physique broke down. Otherwise, first time when mother used to see him, and master was such a great build, that wonderful build, and she would say, when he would put on the gamcha on his shoulder, and he was put on that tail, that is oil, and smear the oil on his body, and he would walk to the Ganges for taking bath, and it was like copper shining in the sun. She would say, such was the beauty, that handsomeness of the master's body. And because of his extreme austerities, not eating several days and months like that, and his body collapsed. And the body was such. So otherwise, if you have seen that photo of the master's last time, after his passing away, with the disciples standing there, a photo is there, though the photo is not very popularly prescribed or given in the books. Once upon a time it was published in our books, and then we have stopped it because a lot of devotees felt very upset after seeing that photo. Master was just a skeleton. Only skeleton was lying there before the direct disciples. And it has, people could not even meditate on him. So when people started writing to Belluman, they said, okay, that photo need not be published for the public in general. But if anybody wants to see, it is available. Of course, nowadays the internet, the photos are available. But then, when you see that, you will feel so bad for it. You have seen Ramakrishna in this type of photo, how wonderful he is there. It's a very, Hashimukku, it's a smiling face.
Why was it, Swami? Is it because of the disease he had?
Yes, because of a disease, and he had the cancer. He could not eat. So you can imagine for 6 months if somebody doesn't eat, what happens to his body. And nothing. Mother used to prepare suji payas and give spoonfuls in his mouth, and she would pour it. And that is how he was drinking. And that also with great difficulty he would swallow that, because he could swallow. So that was the condition. And now you can see how at that time, how he was wonderful. So he has seen that. And mother also equally did so many austerities. And even for the stomach pain she had in Jairambati, she went to that temple, and she, as everybody does in the village, she also did the same austerity. Everywhere she did austerity. Nilambar Babu's in Belur, if you go, you must visit that place, Nilambar Babu's house. Now it has come into the hands of the Belur. So when you go there, you can see that house where Holy Mother used to stay, that room is there, that has become a shrine. And outside you come out, and there is a porch, and on the first floor, and it is open space. There she did a tapasya. Sun is on her head, scorching sun in the Shravan month, scorching sun, and in the 4 directions the fire was lit, and in the middle she is sitting. Such tapasya she has done. She was like a Parvati, Parvati did, in the Puranas we find, Parvati did what a tremendous austerity. And that Parvati has come now, so she not repeat the same austerities. And after getting the husband, she did all these austerities. And Parvati did austerities to get her Maharani. So we find that wonderful. and Parvati's austerities are said. That's why she got one name Aparna. Only she used to take leaves. Nothing she would eat. That was the condition of austerities. So these type of terrible austerities they have undergone. And then the author says, hence, if we study this phase of her life from mere normal point of view, then the reader will ask. If the reader is asking, he says, he's imagining, a reader is sitting before him and the author is telling, the reader will ask. So actually it is his own question. In his mind the question has come. He's putting it in the form of a reader so that he can give you an explanation. What was the question? Of course, is a long question. I should read it to once more. What are you about? So the reader is asking the author, what are you talking about? At the end of the Shodashi worship, the mother had received as a free gift from the master all the fruits of his own long spiritual discipline. Her disposition was naturally so sweet and so charming that even if she had no background of austerity, she could not have failed to impress others. The reader is asking, you are only talking about mother's austerity and she was no less than master's austerity. You are bringing her equal to master's austerity. Is it proper? It is not proper from the point of view of a reader, because he says at the end of the Shodashi Puja, master has surrendered everything to her. Did he not give it as a gift to her? So when everything has been passed on to her, she has attained that divinity. So she doesn't need to do all the austerities. Why you are bringing a comparison? That's what he is asking. And she could not have failed to impress others. And her physical suffering and strenuous life were in themselves a telling example of a great spiritual striving. So he says, is it not then unreasonable to say that spiritual progress is dependent on a formal course of discipline as prescribed by the scriptures? What is the necessary to follow the scriptures in following certain austere practices? Is it necessary for the mother? If you say mother has done this like that, then is it necessary for her to do? The question comes. So he answers, let us not lose our patience. He says, we are not here to judge. The facts of life of Holy Mother we see. In that, what is the fact we see? The judgment may be done by the future generation. But the author says, I am not here sitting to make any judgment of mother's qualities. Let us leave it. I am only telling you what are the facts of master's life. But he says, a divine woman like the mother is, if no effort of a divine woman like the mother is wholly without meaning, such an effort flows from a fullness of heart rather than from a social need or impulsion. So he says, each of her act, whether it is following austerity or whether she is happy with the devotees or whether she is going here and there in pilgrimage, whatever activity you find in mother's life, it has got some meaning and it is worthy of being recorded. So as the author of this work, I am going to record all these things. So I am not going to comment on that. But he has got a point to say. There were some vratas which mother followed, which we did not know at all. So there are several austerities like that mother has done. She may not have told anybody, and whatever she has told to others, little here and there, that only we have got, that we are recording. But don't you know that there are other types of austerity? So one example he got it. One example he says, Master Mahashaya, when he was talking about Ramakrishna and Sarada Devi, he has mentioned that Holy Mother observed one Savitri Vrata. So what was that Vrata? And why did she observe? And what was the method of observation? All those things are not known. Because Master Mahashaya has said somewhere, and that's all. That is the only reference. So only the hint is there, but such hints are invaluable in reconstructing our picture of that unknown side of the mother's life. So mother's life, what we see today and what we hear from others, most of the life incidents are when she became a holy mother, when she became on her own right, she became a guru. But before that, where was the record? There was no record. So lot of things she has gone through, and a few people who were with the mother, and they have expressed sometimes here and there, and with that only we are trying to reconstruct the life of Holy Mother. But the author feels that there is an unknown side of the Holy Mother's life, which is about her practicing austerities. Though certain austerities we know, and those things of course he is going to tell from time to time as the time goes on. But then there are many, many austerities that Holy Mother has practiced which we do not know. And that remains the unknown side of the mother's life. We shall proceed further. Om Kripang Guru Mahadevi Suteshu Pranateshu Cha Charanasrayadanena Kripamayi Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.